Welcome inside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. The Patriots lost their preseason finale 12-9 to the New York Football Giants. But Chris, safe to say that's not what everybody is talking about on this Thursday, the first Thursday in September. Tom Brady is a free man. He can play the season opener 1 week from tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The banner will be raised right above us. Before the game, Jonathan Kraft announced that had Brady not been reinstituted by Judge Richard Berman in New York City on Thursday morning, the Patriots would have done something to honor Tom Brady with that banner. Well, that won't be necessary. The World Championship banner will go up. Tom Brady will be the quarterback on that Thursday night. Your reaction to the vacating by Judge Richard Berman of the 4-game suspension?
I think when you looked at the previous two meetings, August 12th and August 19th, between the league, their representatives, and the representatives from the NFLPA, it was easy to dismiss those as the judge being a devil's advocate fundamentally, but I think when you really went back and looked at it in the wake of today's verdict, not all that surprising. You know, the judge really spent the better part of two sessions poking holes in the NFL's argument, and all of those statements that he made were basically delivered in the 40-page document that he released today, exonerating Brady. Now, what's important to remember, he didn't necessarily declare Brady not guilty. He just declared him not guilty, if that makes any sense at all. So I think it's important to look at those and find that distinction. I think the other thing is, it was an implication of how the NFL went about their, or goes about their disciplinary process. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see the reaction, what comes out of this going forward as it relates to the commissioner, as it relates to the NFLPA, and it relates to disciplinary matters.
Okay, I had the chance to speak with John Dowd, the former federal prosecutor who successfully brought charges for Major League Baseball on behalf of against Pete Rose and George Steinbrenner in the late 80s and early 90s. And he said the NFL, if they really want to get it right, needs to overhaul their complete disciplinary system, starting with hiring an outside, truly independent arbiter and prosecutor who can really weigh the evidence for both sides. And until you get that kind of situation in the NFL office, I think problems like this are going to continue to happen. Remember, Tom Brady, this isn't the first time this has happened. It's the last and most infamous time that it's happened. Obviously, issues with Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice came up in terms of the discipline, and parts of those cases were either vacated or adjusted.
You're going to need to see the league and the NFLPA come together, to your point, to the point of John Dowd. You're going to need to see them come together and find some sort of common ground and find some sort of truly independent arbiter in these situations, whether it is a former commissioner, a former player, someone who has the respect of both sides, someone who could serve as basically the judge and jury in these kinds of situations. We always talk about in the CBA, really it comes down to how the money is distributed. I think in this CBA, this current CBA is going to be up in 2020, the big debate is going to be player discipline. And how
Article 46.
Exactly, and how that's handled going forward. I have to imagine that that is going to be a major sticking point the next time these two sides get together to try and hammer out a new collective bargaining agreement.
The other thing I found fascinating on Thursday was the reaction of Patriots owner Robert Kraft and his venom, if you will, and the venom of the organization, not really directed at Roger Goodell, the commissioner, but rather Jeff Pash and the legal department of the NFL. And really, frankly, Chris, I think that's where the hammer is going to come down, because everybody and their brother knows that Roger Goodell is under contract by the NFL owners for roughly the next 3 years, and they are not going to eat his contract. Pretty obvious. But the people, the support staff around Roger Goodell, starting with Jeff Pash, the lead general counsel, that's where I think you could see maybe the axe fall.
Every time the league came to a crossroads in this process, the investigatory process, whether it was the naming of Ted Wells, whether it was the decision to have Jeff Pash edit the report, whether it was the decision to continue to pursue further discipline against the Patriots, against Tom Brady, they took the wrong path. And I think that ultimately, you know, to use Chris Carter's parlance here, there's going to be a fall guy. And I think, to your point, it's got to be Pash, it's going to be Pash, it's going to be Kensel. I don't think it's going to be Troy Vincent, but I think someone in the NFL offices, they're going to ultimately end up taking the fall for this thing.
All right, you talk about the game tonight and maybe the potential for reaction to what happened today. The good news that was all abuzz around Gillette Stadium before this preseason finale. And Bill Belichick set the tone when he was asked after the game to react to the uncertainty being gone. And he said, I'm not here to talk about anything but the preseason game, the 12-9 loss to the New York Football Giants. That's all he was talking about. That's all pretty much anybody in the locker room was talking about. Reggie Wayne said he felt great for Tom Brady, but Reggie's got to concern himself with what Reggie has to take care of. I'm paraphrasing there, not very well, but that's what Reggie Wayne said. I asked LeGarrette Blount the same question. He said, my focus was getting my reps on for the preseason finale, getting ready for the season. He'll, of course, sit out against the Pittsburgh Steelers. My focus was not on Tom Brady. You buy all of that?
Yeah, I do. It's particularly in the case of Blount, because you look at a veteran who played deep into the fourth preseason game. That raises a few eyebrows, but at the same time, it's important to remember they did the same thing last year with Brandon Browner. If you remember, Brandon Browner was facing a 4-game suspension to start the year. It's important for a guy, even a veteran, to get as many game reps in as possible before you take that break. That was why you saw LeGarrette Blount in the fourth quarter tonight. I also think that was one of the reasons you saw Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne has very few game reps with this team to this point in the summer. You needed to get him as much action as possible. 2 catches, 10 targets, not a great line, but it's not about that for him at this stage of the summer. You want to get him action. You want to get him reps. I think the Patriots were able to accomplish that tonight.
Final cut down to 53 players happens on Saturday at 4 p.m. It's not a big window for the Patriots to make decisions, but obviously all 32 teams in the same boat as the preseason ended tonight on Thursday night. A couple of players that stand out to me with big decisions facing the Patriots: Aaron Dobson on the offensive side of the ball, Logan Ryan, Tavon Wilson on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I would agree with you. When you look at guys who might be on the bubble at this stage of the summer, based on what they've done over the course of the preseason as well as into training camp, you look at those guys and you start to kind of put the numbers together, and they may not really start to add up when it comes to them possibly landing a spot on the 53-man roster. Aaron Dobson played deep into the game tonight, had an up-and-down summer, to be generous, over the course of a lot of the summer. Logan Ryan also played deep here tonight, and the fact that he played as many snaps as he did deep into the game, especially after starting training camp, really is the number 2 corner. It's not a great sign for his chances going forward.
All right, the Patriots players will have the day off on Friday here at Gillette Stadium as they are taking down the goalpost behind us, getting the field ready. And certainly the Patriots have a short week. They will get back to it on Saturday here at Gillette Stadium, and then really it's full speed ahead as they get ready for the season opener next Thursday night against Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Once again, the big story: Tom Brady will be on the field for the defending Super Bowl champion, the 4-time defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. And it is a story that I think a lot of us are glad, Chris. I think I speak for you as well as myself to say that it has finally come to a conclusion. We'll see what happens from here.
Well, I will say this: it's not a guaranteed conclusion. The NFL did file the appeal today. They're going to slow play it, though. It's worth mentioning they're going to slow play this year. They're going to take their time. They're not going through an expedited process. So it could be close to a conclusion if you're optimistic. This is not the final chapter, but it appears we're a lot closer to a conclusion today than we were a couple days ago.
Okay, if I'm a fan and watching that and listening to you, is there any chance that Tom Brady, this gets reopened in the second half of the season and Tom Brady faces the possibility of that suspension being reinstated for the last 4 games of the year if something's on the line? That's the nightmare scenario for Patriots fans.
No, not in 2015. I think as it relates to 2015, it is done. It's off the books. It's not something you can concern yourself with unless something weird happens, unless something completely out of left field goes down. I don't think there's a chance that this affects the 2015 season. This has the potential to affect the 2016 season, but, we'll tackle that when we come to it.
Yeah, we've certainly spent enough time on it, too much time in my humble opinion. But that is a wrap for the preseason. The Patriots finish it up 2-2. They lose both of their home preseason games, including Thursday night's 12-9 contest to the New York Football Giants. For Christopher Price, I'm Mike Petraglia, inside Gillette Stadium, WEEI.com.